Everybody who plays D&D has felt this kind of inspiration. You're just walking, or you're on a drive, or you're in the bathroom, and an idea just comes to you.
I've got it!
You're instantly inspired to write up a fun encounter or a new character that your fellow players are gonna love. But everybody who's been playing any RPG for long enough has also experienced times when the big ideas don't seem to lead anywhere, or they don't come at all. So let's talk about a bunch of tried and true fonts of inspiration. Because I'm Bob, this is where we learn how to have more fun playing RPGs together, and this first one should be obvious. The internet, where millions of people are constantly uploading their own ideas as videos or podcasts or walls of text, and your new problem is figuring out how to filter out which ideas appeal to you. Notice, I'm not saying filter the good ideas from the bad ideas, because tabletop role-playing games are a lot like arts and crafts in kindergarten. It's not graded, it's all based on your imagination, and as long as you don't put the pieces in your mouth, there are no bad ideas. This mindset will help you be less critical of your own ideas, but having this mindset is helpful on the internet, because despite the algorithm's best efforts, you will often be exposed to ideas that you don't agree with. And when you see an RPG idea that seems wrong, but for a reason you can't really articulate, that idea might be your perfect source of inspiration because it's challenging your assumptions and forcing you to think outside the box. Now, my favorite places to get inspired online are the ones where I'm most active, like YouTube. Yeah, that's actually like the only form of social media I use on a daily basis besides Discord, and it works for me. That's why I post almost exclusively on YouTube. I watch tons of different D&D themed channels, and I really can't recommend any specific channels here because I would definitely forget some and then feel really bad about it. But some other popular online spaces for D&D inspiration are Reddit, specifically RD&D, where I occasionally lurk around. Twitter, where I still follow a ton of RPG designers and artists who are constantly posting cool stuff while also insisting that the platform is dead. TikTok, which I have never used because I'm afraid it will suck my brain into a wormhole of distraction, but it's probably the fastest growing platform for D&D content. And alternatively, if your brain can handle reading more than a couple dozen words in one sitting, there's one major online source for RPG inspiration you'll want to check out. RPG blogs. Like TikTok, I have never really explored this side of the RPG interwebs, but here's my plan. One of the best-known RPG bloggers, Mike Shea of Sly Flourish, has compiled his 100 favorite RPG blogs into one super blog, which would be a really cool name, but it's actually called a blog roll. And the intention, as I understand it, is to curate and highlight the best written RPG content from sources that are completely independent from the big business side of every social media platform. And I've been meaning to check it out, so I put a link down in the description for myself, but you can use that too if you want. Down there, you'll also find a link to one more source of online RPG inspiration, but before I tell you what it is, we both know that any list of inspirational sources compiled by one person, such as myself, Sly Flourish, or even Gary Gygax, foreshadowing for this video, will be an incomplete list. So please leave a comment below with your favorite, or most personal, place or method for getting inspired as a game master or player, while I tell you about our inspiring sponsor, Describe. Describe is an award-winning online collection of over 10,000 descriptive scenes of text for places, items, characters, landscapes, monsters, spells, dialogue, and more that I have used for years to find inspiration while prepping for my games. For example, while prepping this video, I clicked on a random location title and found this. This village, once home to the people of leaf and song, lies silent now. No sounds of children playing, no bustle of commerce, no music from flutes or lyrical elven voices. Would I make some changes to fit it more smoothly into my own game? Maybe, but it took me from empty brain to flowing ideas in a matter of seconds. That one's part of Describe's free collection, but if you want access to everything, including interactive maps, songs, and sound effects, be sure to sign up through the affiliate link below to save 10% and let them know who sent you. Okay. Let's settle down on all the reading for a minute here and talk about one way to get inspired that involves almost zero brain power. Random tables. Random tables have been a part of D&D since the beginning. because in the dark times before RPG video games that automatically generate an entire living world around our characters wherever we go, random tables were kind of the next best thing. Let's look at a few tables from the 1979 Dungeon Master's Guide, Appendix I. Don't worry, we'll get there. So, Gygax said these are, quote, miscellaneous items and points of semi-interest for corridors and unpopulated areas or to round out otherwise drab places. Man, that guy really needs to relax. But he made 3 tables just for what the air is like, then some general stuff, unexplained sounds and weird noises, general furnishings and appointments, religious articles and furnishings, torture chamber furnishings, and furnishings for magic users, because the word wizard wasn't invented yet, and many, many more totally random items that you didn't have to come up with yourself. This book has a lot of random tables, but to be honest, I don't use it very often. Lately, I've been referring to the more modern RPG king of random, Dungeon Crawl Classics. You got a D100 table of character occupations and gear that you can use for PCs and NPCs alike. You got tables for fumbles, and 5 tables for critical hits, with another 5 tables for critical hits by monsters. There's a unique random table of effects for every spell in the game because magic in DCC is genuinely mysterious and magical. Similarly, a big part of DCC philosophy is there are no generic monsters or magic items. So while it does include a bestiary of generic monsters, you're highly encouraged to customize them and given a ton of tables to do so. And just yesterday, while I was prepping for my next session of D&D 5e, I used this book to roll up the effects, purpose, and intelligence of a unique magic weapon. So let me know in the comments if you'd like to hear more about DCC's tables, and maybe some of them in action in a future video. But remember, the beauty of random tables is that they are merely inspirational tools. The results are there just to give you something to work with, and because they've been part of RPG culture forever, you can find cool tables in pretty much every RPG book ever published. Now, speaking of RPG books, forget about them for a minute. At the end of the day, the RPG industry is a tiny little box, and all the books and all online RPG commentary is a copy of a copy of a copy of fiction and art and nature. And we as players and game masters and people who thrive on creative pursuits, we have to stretch at least a little bit outside of that tiny box. Look at this tapestry hanging on my wall. This is The North Watch by Keith Parkinson. When I saw this for the first time, I felt things. Something about this solitary ranger riding a giant blue reptile that probably doesn't belong in this climate, and the colors and the sheer emptiness of the frozen landscape and the open sky. All together, this fantastical scene feels peaceful and grounded and real. It reminds me of Pokemon, The Lord of the Rings, and even Studio Ghibli movies for some reason, and for having all of those connections, I've never intentionally created something based on this scene. Rather, it serves as a touchstone for the kind of fantasy that I love, and in that broad and deep way, it inspires me. Perhaps ironically, this art piece was created to be a cover of Dragon magazine in 1988, an out-of-print publication for Dungeons & Dragons. So even here, we're barely outside of that RPG box. We could look at older fantasy artwork like this piece by Frank Frazetta, but take one guess who that buff guy is? Yeah, that's Conan the Barbarian, whose stories are cited by Gary Gygax as one of the most immediate influences upon advanced Dungeons & Dragons in the famous Appendix N of the 1979 Dungeon Master's Guide. So, here we are. Appendix N probably deserves its own video, but just to define it, it's 2 paragraphs and a list of authors and novels compiled by Mr. Gygax detailing his sources of inspiration for AD&D. And in that way, Appendix N remains an inspirational touchstone of D&D style fantasy for millions of people today. Now, it should go without saying that, as a GM, your main source of inspiration for your next RPG session should be the events of your previous RPG session and whatever your players said they want to do next. Moreover, half-baked ideas are fine because the real creative magic of role-playing games is the collaborative storytelling that happens at the table. But as a GM, a player, and an individual with your own creative mind, it's up to you to create your own Appendix N, your list of books, movies, shows, documentaries, and video games that inspire you. Think of the places you can go to facilitate new ideas and the people in your life, including on the internet, especially on YouTube, where you subscribe to their channel and you share all their videos with everyone you know. That list of references is all you need, but only you can make it. So, if these ideas appeal to you, please give this video a thumbs up and consider joining the Appendix N Heavy Dungeon Crawl Classics campaign tier now on my Patreon, or join any tier on Patreon to directly support what I do. But thank you for your support, and keep building.